Hey, it's Dr. Kehres with Kade Wellness, and today we're going to be talking about what is inflammation and why does it matter, okay? So this is a big one, and what is inflammation in the first place? A lot of people think of inflammation being if they roll their ankle or they pull a muscle or something, it gets swollen and it gets painful, okay? That is definitely one form of inflammation, but the biggest form of inflammation that I see that people don't understand or don't catch in the first place is internal inflammation inside the body. Okay, this is massively important because you can really help with a lot of different issues here. So the inflammation that you cannot see, so for example, coronary artery disease, that's an inflammatory issue, okay? And when you have too much inflammation inside your arteries, it can cause scarring inside your arteries, which can obviously lead to a buildup in those arteries, which can lead to a heart attack. And so inflammation is at the root of this issue. And so this is one of the big things that a lot of people just don't understand and that we need to have more knowledge about is the inflammation that's going on inside the body. Okay, so let's go through here. Here's the Merriam-Webster definition. A local response to cellular injury that is marked by capillary dilation, leukocyte infiltration, redness, heat, pain that serves as a mechanism for irritating and elimination noxious agents and of the damaged tissue. So basically what that's saying is that you damage tissue, the immune system has a response that comes in, it's the swelling that happens. And so the swelling that happens when you roll your ankle could be the same thing that happens internally inside your body with you having no idea it's going on. When that's going on long term, what it's gonna do is it's gonna cause different types of diseases, all right? And so here we go. What diseases and conditions are associated with inflammation? If you get onto PubMed and you search inflammation with pretty much any disease, you're gonna see that almost every single disease out there starts with inflammation, right? And so then we have to also get to the root of why is there inflammation inside our body? And so that's the key. Chronic pain, arthritis, anything that ends in itis, fibromyalgia, all these different issues here are inflammatory. And there could be 100 or plus other conditions on the screen as well, because they all have an inflammatory root, right? And so when people have inflammation, what do? They go to the pharmacy and they buy anti-inflammatories. So the first step is they go to the pharmacy, they'll get aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, they'll get some of the NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. Now these medications are the #1 over-the-counter medication in the United States. And that basically tells us that every single person that's going in there to buy these is inflamed, right? And so they have two options. They have the option of just taking up a medication to cover up the issue, or they can take another step backwards and get to the root of the problem and try to fix the issue in the first place as opposed to covering it up. So a lot of times people have inflammation, they'll take NSAIDs, they'll take them over and over and over until the issue gets bad enough. When the issue gets bad enough, they go to their primary doctor. And then when they go to their primary doctor, they say, hey, these other NSAIDs are not taking the edge off my pain. Can you give me anything else? And so that's where we get into the scary territory of the opioid type medications. So when you start taking the opioid type medications, yes, they will inhibit a lot of the pain, or they'll give you the sensation that you don't have pain, but they're very, very, very addictive, okay? So there's a time and place for these medications, but there's too many people that are taking these and getting addicted to them on a regular basis, when we could take a step back and try to get to the root of the problem, okay? And so one of the big things that I love is I love working with food and reducing inflammation internally by eating the right types of foods. Okay, so when you sit down to have a meal, that meal is going to do one or two things to you. It's either going to reduce the inflammation inside your body, or it's going to increase the inflammation inside your body. All right, so obviously we want to focus on eating anti-inflammatory foods. These anti-inflammatory foods are going to reduce the inflammation, and then they're going to make you have less need for the NSAIDs, the anti-inflammatories on the previous slide. So this is a chart. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you memorize it. So it has in the red is the inflammatory foods. Okay, these inflammatory foods promote inflammatory cells. So these are the inflammatory eicosanoids. These cells are the ones, the same as when you roll your ankle and inflammation starts. When you eat food that is in red here, that's going to create the same inflammatory cycle inside your body, which leads to internal inflammation and eventually is going to lead to disease and pain inside your body. Okay, so obviously what we want to do is we want to go over here. We want to eat more of these things that are in blue, because these are anti-inflammatory eicosanoids. This is going to down-regulate the inflammation inside your body. Okay, so this is the key. Reducing these red inflammatory foods, increasing these anti-inflammatory foods. And so we have a list here. It's very basic, okay? This is a very simplified version. There's a lot of books out there. The Deflame Diet is a book out there that discusses the anti-inflammatory diet and how to do that. So up here we have refined sugars, we have refined grains, grain flour products, trans fats, refined omega-6 seed oils. These are all the things in red here. These are all huge promoters of inflammation, okay? And so on the other side here, we have all the anti-inflammatory foods. So grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, shellfish, omega-3 type eggs, pastured eggs. You've got the seeds, the nuts, spices of all kinds, red wine, dark chocolate, olive oil, coconut oil, butter, cream, avocado. Those sorts of things are anti-inflammatory. And so the key is always to reduce the inflammatory foods and increase the anti-inflammatory foods. When you do that, what it's going to do is going to reduce your risk of all these inflammatory diseases that we talked about. And so you need to go out and start putting this as part of your lifestyle and making it, implement it as soon as possible, because it's going to help you out substantially.